Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
Welcome to Dig on America, where we speak truth to power. Every week, we give you the dig on how American history, policies, and media created the social and political issues we face today. DOA is independent media supported by listeners, but they'll tell you we're just fake news, deep state propaganda, funded by George Soros, the Clinton Foundation, BLM Marxists, and...
Anton Chigurh. I don't know if I said his last name right. Anton Chigurh.
Who is that?
No Country for Old Men.
The
air compressor dude.
Yeah. Oh my God. Who is that? The other Del Toro? Benicio Del Toro.
Benicio? It's not Benicio Del Toro. I forget who's. Oh fuck! Who played him? Oh shit! His name is on the tip of my brain.
I'm on it.
Yeah, please qualify your statement here. My sponsor today, while we're waiting for that, well, it's a show about oil, so it has to be Judd Clampett.
Texas tea.
Javier Bardem. That's his name.
Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin.
That's his
Tommy
guy.
Lee Jones. Woody Harrelson. He was in that. Woody Harrelson stayed creeping up on movies that I forgot he was
That's
in.
how you keep your money rolling.
You know what the thing is? I don't really like him.
And Woody Harrelson as the throw pillow.
Yeah. Hey, Woody Harrelson is always sneaky good in everything he does.
Maybe
like
that's his style.
Wait a minute, that's not Woody Harrelson. That's Matthew McConaughey. I'm thinking about.
See, that's what I'm saying. Woody ain't got no flips.
Woody ain't got to
like
do
that.
shit after Dazed and Confused. He was fucking classic in that movie. He was aces.
You mean Matthew McConaughey?
No.
Woody Harrelson was not
shit.
in Dazed.
God damn it, that was Matthew McConaughey too.
See?
Yeah.
He'd been sneaky. He'd been low key riding on Matthew McConaughey.
You know what I love about high school girls? I keep getting older.
They stay the same
Sicko.
age. Movies
What a sick
with
fuck.
that could not be said now.
No.
You can't put that in a movie now.
Yeah, it's probably better off.
Just like LL Cool J's big old butt. She's only 17, but yo don't sleep. You couldn't have that lyric in there now.
I didn't even know that. I don't even remember that lyric.
She had a big old booty. I was doing my duty. Hey yo, I admit that my girl's a cutie.
I don't remember that. Oh, the one that
was in the last verse where he said, "I'm going to the high school."
The one that
That's
I
what
remember
he said. He was going to the high school to troll for chicks and picked up a 17-year-old.
Then yeah, he's got to be canceled. Then
that whole verse is gone. That whole verse is gone. Hey, BBD is gone.
No, BBD just
Backstage,
did a concert here.
Underage.
Yeah, they just did a concert here last year, and I wanted to go just to see if they did that song because I was gonna be like, dude, you can't fucking do that shit.
You cannot fucking do that song.
So they need to like rewrite that entire verse.
You know what? I
the song is classic, but
yeah, you know what I found out last week?
What's that?
I did not know that Steven Tyler from Aerosmith took some 14-year-old girl on tour with him. Got the parents' permission to be named her legal guardian so he could take her on tour with him.
Of course.
And it was his girlfriend.
In
74, 75 or some shit.
Is that Liv's mom?
I don't know. But they say the tour was packed with drugs and sex, and this 14-year-old girl who was out there, his girlfriend.
Yeah, you know what? Why do we let our daughter go on tour with Steven Tyler, honey?
It's okay.
Sure, it's Steven Tyler.
I'm sure there was no currency exchange.
No. What a fuck, dude! I'm telling you, this country is.
Now, do y'all understand why I'm trying to get the fucking Canada?
Like people don't talk about.
Believe me, shit. They do that shit there too. But anyway, so let's get into today's dig. So let me preface this.
You're always prefacing.
This dig
forward
is fucking long as shit.
Oh,
okay.
Boy.
And Mikey should like it
Motherfucker.
because I have a lot of statistics and graphs and charts
Are you going
and
to put them
stuff
up
like
on
that,
screen?
which I'm going to put on screen. Okay. So I have done this specifically for Mikey. Okay. So, but there's a lot to this.
Because I will log out on your ass, man.
I cannot do the history of the United States relationship with oil in a 4 to 6 minute dig. I just can't fucking do it. So it is longer than that. This is probably a good 12 minutes as far as just the dig part goes.
Dang.
So Haas,
I only got so much cigar, dude.
Haas,
yeah,
you're gonna have to deal with it. All right,
I'm here for the show. Whatever we need.
Thank you. But
what a team player he is.
They're gonna America forever.
Also,
football rules.
Also, I did start the new Gmail. I have to actually start the YouTube channel part of it, but I think starting next week, what we'll do, if Mikey's cool with it, is after we're done with the regular show, we'll log off the show, log on to the new YouTube channel, and upload Haas's Humidor straight to that. I think that would be, but I'll leave that up to Mikey. So
straight to the pin.
But anyway. All right. So my 8th grade social studies teacher,
Mr. Humble,
taught me things that after doing my own research wasn't exactly the whole story.
What?
And this week we will dive into the topic of the oil industry, how it has impacted our society, and why we should endeavor to move on. So in 1886, Carl Benz applied for a patent for his vehicle powered by a gas engine.
You talking about Benzino?
Benzino. Yes,
that's
a guy.
Booty.
Yeah, that.
I see booty.
Carl Benz. So in 1909, Henry Ford launched the Model T with the vision of having a practical, affordable vehicle for the common.
A black man was making cars until 1910 when he died. CRT. No,
C.R. Thompson.
God dang it. I want to find his name. I'll find his name and pause you.
Okay, please do that.
Didn't Model Ts go like 18 miles an hour?
They weren't particularly.
They weren't particularly fast, but that's too fast. They were shorter than that. They didn't go that fast.
So Ford started this out with the vision of having a practical, affordable vehicle for the white man. It should be noted that there was no outcry after the launch of the Model T. There was no outcry from conservatives at the time complaining about the lost jobs in the horse and buggy industry. Just kind of noting that. But this was the birth of our love for gas. So
C.R. Patterson.
I was very close.
C.R.
1915 to 1918.
Oh, so after the Model T. Nice. So around the same time as all of this was going on, as cars were being invented, the Middle East was home to some of the poorest countries in the world. Now, this was due to many reasons, including the West's disinterest in fair trade and the Islamic tradition of theocratic government, as well as being super late to the game for ending slavery, as the Arab slave trade was officially abolished in 1890. Sidebar there, the Arab slave trade, for those who don't know, outlawed white slavery 70 years before that. But anyway, now, however, Middle Eastern.
Never mind. I almost said something. Never mind. Shut up. Never mind.
Many Middle Eastern nations today are among the wealthiest, with 5 nations among the world's top 25. Those being Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, the UAE, and Saudi Arabia. Although, as we shall see, that wealth is, of course, not distributed equally. These 5 nations produce 36% of the global oil production in 2019. Saudi Arabia's oil operator, which is a publicly owned, basically utility, Saudi Aramco, is the world's most profitable company. The company,
what's their profits looking like?
Let's talk about that. The company's 2018 profits were $118 billion.
Hold on. Let me
What are we doing here?
God damn!
I'm rich, bitch. Off the cigarette truck, straight cash.
I bought this baby straight cash.
So now this
known only as
118.
Tron.
that's not right. What happened here?
You want this one?
There we go. All right. So sorry,
this
audio
one.
listener. All right. So I actually just pulled up these are the financials as of actually I pulled that up last night. So technically it's yesterday. For Saudi Aramco.
Inaccurate.
Yeah, those are old numbers. They're 17. They're 17 hours old.
He's skewing the results so that his point is made.
The company's excuse me.
Fake news.
The company's 2018 profits were 118 billion. Profits fell for the company in 2022 about 50 billion. Crimea River, he only made 50 billion.
Damn.
But note that's profit, not revenue. In 2021, Aramco doubled that back to 110 billion. And if you think that's impressive, what you're looking at on your screen right here is their 2022 net income in Q1. Now, Mikey can verify these dates there. Their Q1 this year is 142 billion, which is a 27% GPM. So that's GPM is a gross profit margin of the 550 billion in revenue. Look at their cash on hand as of again yesterday. It was 1,440% increase year over year from 2021. What makes this even more, and just for comparison here, actually, let's just share this right now.
I'm not trying to shatter your illusion here, but none of them numbers said 20. Like, was that the right slide?
Hold on, I'll go back to
okay.
it. Here is what's that?
These aren't the same numbers. That's all.
Same numbers.
No, those numbers. Well, unless they hold on a second, we'll go back to it in 1 second because I wasn't looking at the screen.
I was about to say what you were reading to me, like
22.
All right, so March. This is the exact same numbers for Exxon. I'm sorry. So Exxon revenue up until March of 2022, because June is the second quarter, right? So it just ended. So those numbers aren't out yet. The revenue for Q1, 87.96 billion. Now, again, revenue is how much money they brought in total. Net income of that is 5.48 billion. That is based on a gross profit margin of, actually, they don't list that here. They list a net profit margin, which is 6.23%. The GPM would probably be somewhere in the, I would say, actually probably about 9. So significantly, and I'm showing this because this is still a lot. And if you look at their cash on hand here, net change in cash, 603% up from last year. Their operating income, 286% up from last year. Their net profit margin, here it is right here, 31.71%. So these guys are not like hurting, right? So again, we'll go back to Saudi Arabia here so I can show and then for those who are listening on audio, we'll try to explain what we are showing on the screen here as we do it for your benefit.
And also for your benefit, we've all oiled our chests.
Yes, and that's every week though.
Camden, give me that baby oil from over there. No.
Okay, so the you know what? It's probably because this is Google, so it updates in real time. But let's go back to the numbers that I pulled off yesterday, just for fact checking purposes. So the 550. Oh, you're right. I did screw that up. All right, it was 516 billion, not 550 billion. So the 2022 net income Q1 this year is 100, and this is actually updated as of this second, is 142 billion, which it says right there, net income 142.01 billion, which is a 27% GPM, which if you look at the profit margin there, 27.47. Of 550 billion in revenue. I should have put 516, but again, that was revenue, not profit. Their cash on hand is 1,440%, which is now actually gone up to 1,480.65%. So it actually increased just in a day.
So the cash on hand number is 58.29 billion. Like for everyone listening, there's 3 columns on this chart, and he's reading the title of that thing, and then he'll sporadically bounce between which figure he's reading from column 2 and 3.
Right. So I'll pull this off here. So now, what makes all of these numbers for Saudi Aramco even really more astonishing is what's going on there right now, right? So you have the the Yemen civil war. There's a lot of unrest. You have I believe it's called the Houthis, which is an Iran-backed group, which has been striking the Saudi Aramco facilities with hopes of crippling their output. But this is so crazy, guys. Like, even a series of drone attacks in March this year, like, they fired missiles at these facilities from drones. And
who did?
The Houthis, Houthis, which is, again, an Iran-backed group. I might be mispronouncing it, but hey, mispronouncing shit is my thing, right? The Houthi Who's, who are outcasts. You got Andre 3000 out there shooting off drones. So the company itself released a statement after these terror attacks and said the attacks had no operational impact and only caused a minor delay in production at one facility. So basically what they're saying is they got hit with a drone attack, and then a few minutes later they yelled, "Go back to work." So it kind of seems to me like money might be a little bit more important than people, but
no, we on fire right now, and there's a whole gasoline factory.
They need to unionize. Right, there's gas there. That's the thing. So
literally,
by the way, in light of these attacks, the UAE, United Arab Emirates, which borders Saudi Arabia, lobbied the U.S., of course, to help bolster their missile defenses and provide intelligence to foil the Houthi attacks. Now, it makes sense to look at how we got to like where these numbers are at today, right? How do we get to where we are with oil? And this is kind of where this dig starts. For the last century, oil and petroleum products have become incredibly important to modern life. We use this for fuel, for tar, for rubber, for Vaseline, which, as Ice Cube pointed out, was in short supply among the members of NWA, as well as plastics, which are in almost everything.
Plastics make it possible.
Plastics do make it possible, including there is plastic in the ocean, by the way, as there is a
microplastics.
Yeah, there is what is a pile of plastic about the size of Texas just floating in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
They would be able to find it if it was there. Someone would be on their way to do something, be running late, and they get fucking stuck in their rudder.
So I'm just going to share my total screen here instead of we'll have to
make sure you monitor your tabs.
I'm about to say, man, make sure you close that one big booty.
I don't have any bad tabs open, you jerks. Okay, so
ain't nobody kink shaming you.
Right.
Here we go. So this is a graph here that shows oil production in the United States from 1998 to 2021. Just sort of a visual aid for where I'm at with this. So in the Middle East, particularly Persia, and this basically this map that I'm pulled up on the screen here for those who are on the audio is basically just showing the oil production in the United States from 98 to 01. So what you're seeing is a upward curve going from about 7,500 barrels per day in 1998. It starts to go up a little bit, or it's pretty stagnant until about 2011. And then, of course, that's when fracking really, really started hitting. So you have
thanks, Obama.
Yeah, thanks, Obama. So then it starts going up. So 2013, 10,000, 11 plus 11,000, 2015, it goes up again, 2016. And then you get to, and these are all, 17,111. You have to times that by 1,000 to get to where the barrels are per day. So you can see that it ramps up. Now here's the interesting part. You get to 2020, right? 16,458 times 1,000 is the number that was produced then. You remember the slip we had then, but this year the numbers are very, very similar between 2020 and 2021, because 2020 is when you had.
And you're talking about the oil production, like you didn't say the name of the chart. That's oil production in the United States from 1998 to 2021. Right. In every number he says is 1,000.
You got to multiply by 1,000. That's the
1,000 barrels per day.
Right.
So in 2019, go to 2019. So in 2019, it says that for that year we did 17,114 thousand barrels a day.
So that's like 1.7 million, right?
Yeah, it's in the millions. So, and I'll go into this a little bit deeper later. So I just want to have some graphs to make Mikey happy. So again, in the Middle East, particularly Persia, okay, was always a a strategic area for the British, right? It was always a key area for them. The French and the Russians also saw Persia as a key area. And it was strategic in the efforts for these three countries to try to imperialize it, because there was ports there and stuff like that. So while this started with really at the end of their slave trade, and it started with trying to get infrastructure contracts, and there were some tobacco monopolies. But early in the 1900s, the British found oil in Persia. Now, Persia, by the way, now is Iran. And they launched the Anglo-Persian Oil Company. Now, today, that company still exists. Anyone want to guess which oil company that is?
Amoco.
Standard.
You are correct. Well, it's BP, right? So BP owns Amoco Standard. You're correct. So they founded this company in the late 1910s, or like the late 19 zeros, whatever you would call that, 1908, 1909. Go ahead.
What did they use before petroleum?
For
lighting,
what?
For like lighting lamps.
Oh, whale oil.
Blubber.
That
Mama.
delicious
Mama.
spermaceti. And
that's
every
actually,
time I get a chance to say spermaceti, I'm gonna say that shit.
That's actually a good point. I didn't touch on that, but at the time, the anti-whaling movement was celebrating gasoline, right? Because it was we had hunted whales to like near extinction to get their blubber. So I will admit, it's
the sperm whales. It's the oil in their forehead.
Yeah, and you got a very, very small amount of it from each whale.
Got a lot.
So well, you got a lot, but I mean the percentage of the whale fat that they use was small.
It's not blubber, it's whale oil. It's not blubber. Blubber's different. It's literally a sack in the whale's head that's full of spermaceti. That's what they call the oil, and you could light it, and that's what they use for the lamps. Didn't you read Moby Dick?
Yeah, and candles and stuff like that, of course.
No, not candles, lanterns, like liquid oil.
Yeah, lanterns.
Yes, this is what we're talking about.
Okay.
So
you keep saying blubber, but it's a liquid, and blubber is this fat.
Blubber. I said
He said it too. Okay.
Anyways, no, flubber.
Enough
Dick
about
Van Dyke.
Goddamn whales.
Okay. So again, this Anglo-Persian Oil Company, excuse me, which is BP today, was founded just in time for oil demand to explode due to World War I. So despite the name, the Persians, again, this was the Anglo-Persian Oil Company, the Persians didn't really have a hand in the company. Shocking. The UK and France made a pact to carve up the Middle East between themselves. Wayne, you monster.
God damn it, Wayne.
We see you eating your bangers and mash as a result of this imperialism. Anyway, the Arabs at the time were broken into tribes. And of course, they were not consulted. So I'm sure that's another shocker. More oil was discovered prior to World War II and exponentially worsened the conflicts. So what made this oil so unique in the Middle East was not only the size of the reserve, which is fucking immense, but how close it was to the surface and easy to extract through the sand. Under the guise of finding and claiming rights to as much oil as possible before Hitler could get his grimy hands on it, oil was found in Kuwait and in Saudi Arabia in 1938, so just before World War II, and Qatar in 1940 in the early years of the war. Which is funny. They're at war and they're running around looking for oil. But anyway,
of course.
In 1945,
and no desert fox without no diesel, baby.
In 1945, during the post-World War II boom of the middle class, or the white middle class, demand for oil surged as factories shifted from a need for bullets to a need for cars, TV, and of course, Tupperware. Arab oil, or crude, was hugely significant in the economic surge post-war. Okay, so petroleum, crude, and gas are all different things. We'll stay away from that for the moment. Once the Arabs figured out how much money they were losing out on, insurgencies began, which I'm sure were characterized very, very nicely in the news.
Ungrateful.
So
indignant, uppity.
These insurgents began a pretty slow process of taking these lands back, and the UK was finally forced out by around 1946. But the West still needed oil to fuel those hot rods, so deals were made. Now, Saudi Arabia is an absolute monarchy, so they were the ones that they went to because, at least primarily, the king, the princes, and the elites oversee in Saudi Arabia, and still do today, a highly authoritarian, quasi-theocratic regime.
Quasi.
And some people can argue whether or not it's quasi. Well, because they do it under the guise of, not being theocratic, but like it's theocratic, right? If you look at the way
it's
the
just
country
like
is
the
done.
United States.
Exactly. So
Same
these
thing.
slime balls, these slime balls, these Saudi elites cut a deal with the American slime balls to send barrels of slimy oil to us in exchange for tanks, missiles, and cash. Now, by the way, trivia question for fun here. Oil is measured in
14.
Yes, that's the answer. Oil is measured in 40-gallon barrels, which is borrowed from what other popular commodity? Go.
Beer.
No. What else is measured in barrels, Haas? You know the answer.
Wine.
I do know the answer.
Whiskey.
Yes, whiskey is the answer.
Yes.
You didn't tell me I only got one guess. That's why I'm just yelling shit out.
The only difference is that they technically put in 2 extra gallons with the oil for leaks. So
did you know that's where a buttload comes from?
No.
A buttload is a measure of liquid. And I think it's like 40.8 gallons. I looked this up one day. Hold on.
Really?
I'll double check. Buttload.
A lot of liquid.
Buttload amount. A buttload of wine is 126 gallons of wine.
That's about what the
buttload.
That's what the wife drinks in a week. So nationalist leaders in Iran began seeking a reduction in foreign interventions, right? So especially in oil, which was very profitable for the West and not profitable for Iran. The Iranians accused the British of exploiting the country and its resources. And of course, they were right, Wayne. So led by, and I'm going to try to pronounce this because I looked up how to pronounce it and I heard a different way.
Here we go.
Led by a man named Mohammed Mossadegh. Okay, it's Mossaddegh. Mossadegh. These political opponents of the pro-Western Shah formed what it was called the National Front, with oil nationalization as the key policy goal. They also believed that the Shah should, quote, reign but not rule, in a manner similar to constitutional monarchies in the UK. Key point here. My video is lagging, so I don't like being this close up. I don't know why my video is lagging because I'm plugged in, but it's been lagging for the last couple of weeks.
We're gonna roll with it, man. It's like
gotta get that naked Nigerian dude to check your.
I don't live by him anymore. But so here's the key point of what we just said. The Iranians.
My man's is erect and deflecting the signal.
Come and check your pipes out back by the bushes.
With a buttload of wine.
Yeah, I'm here to check your septic tank. I'm on the 3rd floor with you. Whoa.
Hey, what you need is an Ethernet cable. I got a black one right here.
Yeah, plug it in.
I already got one in there, but apparently I need a new one.
We are terrible.
We are Borg. Yes. So the key point here is that the Iranians want to be more like Europe. They want to be more nationalist, and they want to be a secular democracy. So
thanks, Wayne.
Put a pin in that. As we move on. So upon assuming power, Mossadegh made this speech. Our long years of negotiations with foreign countries have yielded no results. With the oil revenues, we could meet our entire budget and combat poverty, disease, and backwardsness. Now, by backwardsness, he was referring to the religious monarchical rule among our people. Another important consideration is that by the elimination of the power of the British company, again, BP, we would also eliminate corruption, which has negatively influenced our internal affairs.
We would never have anything like that in Illinois.
No. Then Iran will have achieved its economic and political independence. The British company should return property to its rightful owners. Now, this part is incredible. Iran will set aside 25% of our net profits to meet the legitimate claims of the British company as compensation. So they were like, hey, we're going to give you 25% of the profit. Just give us our land back. So then he goes on to say, we have been accused, we'll get to this in a second, we have been accused of the intention to expel the British oil experts from the country and shut down the exports. Not only is this allegation absurd, it is an utter invention. Now, why would he say that last part? So we'll get to that in a sec. This all happened in 1951, and Iranians finally felt they were taking control of their country and expected a massive increase in wealth. Of course, the British blocked the ports, embargoed the oil, badmouthed Iran to the UN, that's what he was talking about, and refused to let British workers who knew the industry continue their jobs there. Most Iranians were untrained in the process still, so output stalled. In an effort to fix this, the people of Iran voted to give Mossadegh more power, which was within their constitution, and he was elected with 99% of the vote. But the question here is, since when do people of color know what they want in elections? I mean, come on now. The West, we know far better what you need.
Of course.
So the U.S. framed Mossadegh as a dictator. Now, he did dissolve the parliament, but he did so because the parliament was corrupt. And he kept, and they kept making deals that were not in the best interest of Iran. So, yeah, probably, the guy sounds a lot like Bernie, so badmouth him. In 1953, as a result of this, the U.S. and the CIA led a coup to overthrow the dictator and liberate Iran, reinstalling the Shah. Excuse me. The Shah was initially against the coup, but the CIA told him that if he didn't play along, he too would be deposed. So,
not deposition.
Yeah. What do you pick, rich or dead? There was another coup in Iraq in 1958 from the other way around, where the king, who had become very wealthy as a British supporter, but was not passing that money on to the people, was assassinated by his own army, nonetheless. The British news, you guys will love the way this was spun by the British news. You're going to fucking love this. The British news reported he had committed the sole crime of friendship with the West. This paved the way for the rule of Saddam Hussein. In 1960, now under their own rule, everybody was great, right? Well, nope, that's not true. Damn it. So it should be noted here that the elites in power acted like elites in power there too. And OPEC was formed, which, let's call it what it is nothing short of a price-fixing cartel. Of course, no money is reinvested in the people in most places, and the rulers bought Bentleys dipped in gold and pink tigers for pets. They also got stronger, as in one deal, the Saudis were gifted, the royal family, that, mind you, a $1.6 billion air defense system for their palace. 1973, the first oil shock. The dollar falls, and OPEC responds by cutting supply and embargoing fuel to the U.S., sparking a recession. This was all, now the U.S. got mad because of this recession, obviously. So this was all compounded by the Iran-Iraq war, which lasted 8 years, further cramping supply. Look, you should not leave this dig thinking any of these OPEC guys are fucking good humanitarians, because they're not. Okay.
I don't know.
So between 1976 and 1985, OPEC's share of oil around the world dropped from about half to about a quarter. And distrust among those OPEC nations themselves led indirectly to the first Gulf War. You know, the whole thing where Saddam Hussein didn't trust Kuwait, so he went in there to take it, blah, blah, blah. So that led to the first Gulf War, which led to 9/11, which led to the second Gulf War, and ultimately, this is all indirect stuff. And ultimately, as the U.S. got tired of screwing around with OPEC, hydraulic fracturing, or fracking, which is the process of extracting oil and natural gas from shale, which is a layer of the Earth's crust. This process, which erupted from 2008 to 2012, yes, under Obama, led to the U.S.
Obama.
Led to the U.S., you know, he's such a socialist, This all led to the U.S. becoming the world's biggest oil producer. So let's not forget that happened under Obama.
I need that for my V8
Oh,
motor.
no. Conservatives will definitely forget that.
They'll forget it, but also it's not good, right? So
it's not good, but I'm just saying it's that little tidbit.
They like that.
They like
that.
producing oil. You
Right.
should hear them. You know that that's all they talk about is Biden shut down oil production. Biden shut down oil production.
I have rebutted 3 people in the last day and a half who all said Biden shut down the Keystone. For those who want to watch,
what are you talking about?
Look, about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, we did a dig on the Keystone XL. Real quick recap. He didn't shut down the Keystone pipeline. It's still going on today.
Fake news.
It's still pumping today.
Oil.
Stop saying your lies on the thing.
The Keystone XL was what's called stage 4 of the Keystone. It was an extension. It wouldn't be done until next year. Anyway.
First of all, I already said.
And the company that owns it stopped it.
Right. The company that owned it stopped it, though Biden did revoke the permit. But anyway, Mikey, I know you don't believe this because you're.
I already called. Thanks, Obama.
Yeah.
So I win. What the fuck? Like what?
So not only did we become the world's biggest oil producer, we remain, however, and this is for an argument for the people who talk about energy independence. Mm-hmm. We remain, however, the world's second largest importer after China. Sidebar note here, in 2021, we got about 8% of our oil from Russia. So put that fact in your pocket. As of 2019, the oil and gas industry is responsible for about 7 to 8% of the U.S. GDP. The largest of the U.S. oil companies is BP, Shell, ExxonMobil, Chevron, and Total. Not the cereal.
That cereal is trash.
It is the worst cereal.
Grape nuts.
Grape
nuts sucks too.
I will take 10 buckets of grape nuts over 1 bowl of fucking Total.
Crackling oat bran.
I'll take that. At least it's got some texture. What's Total got?
It's
nothing.
Fucking tree bark, dude.
No, trees would never put out something so shitty and mediocre. They'd at least have some flavor. That is chunks of cardboard that have fallen off in some factory somewhere at Post. They have just been repurposing and baking and sending off to people.
Did we say grape nuts?
I will eat grape nuts over fucking Total.
It looks like rabbit food. Come on, quit playing.
It probably is. It probably is. Do we know that they're different?
No, we don't. Have you ever seen rabbit droppings and grape nuts?
Yeah, they are grape nuts. Grape nuts look like rabbit turds. You're exactly correct, and they're terrible. But anyway,
I've never seen them both at the same party at the same time. I'm just saying.
They're Bruce Wayne and Batman. So where was I? So the largest U.S. oil companies, the largest oil field in the country. These are just some random facts I'm throwing at you. They're interesting. Is the Permian Basin. Now, why do they call it the Permian Basin? Because of the Permian extinction.
Because of Friday Night Lights.
I'm sorry, I didn't see the Permian extinction in my Bible. Can you point out the chapter and verse, please?
It is Ezekiel 42.
Hut hike.
First Oilonians.
The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by
petroleum.
So the Permian Basin is in Texas and New Mexico, which produces about 3 times more crude than the next largest does. Many of the key cases of crude oil price increases historically have been associated with political upheaval from oil-rich countries, as we've talked about. In the 1950s, there were strikes by oil workers, production restrictions imposed by the Texas Railroad Commission, as well as the Suez Crisis and the Korean War, all creating steep price increases, with prices only falling. Let me finish the sentence. After production could meet demand. Go.
What year are we at?
This was in the 1950s.
Okay.
I
lost the year there and all the jokes.
There's something called peak oil. Now, peak oil is like the maximum amount of oil that you can get.
Double E or EA?
After EA. After which...
That's the good oil right there.
That's peeping Tom oil. Okay, peeking through your window oil. So peak oil is like the maximum amount of oil you can get, after which you can produce, after which it'll go down, right? So peak oil in the U.S. caused a definite decline of American reserves and several more strikes by oil workers in the 60s. Additional singular events such as the OPEC embargo, the rupture of the Trans-Arabian pipeline, and the earlier discussed Iranian nationalization of the oil industry resulted in further increases. Each of those was followed by a U.S. recession. In 2021, again, just a random fact here, and I'm going to go through a few news stories. In 2021, about 134.8 billion gallons, that's about 3.21 billion barrels of finished motor oil gasoline were consumed in the United States. That's an average of about 369 million gallons per day that we go through in 2021. It's about a gallon a day per person. So if and that includes children.
Children are so fucking wasteful. You ever seen fucking children at fucking stoplights?
Yeah.
They're just fucking flooring it. They stop like five over.
They put it in neutral and just floor it.
Yeah, they do that fucking neutral drop shit just to make their fucking tires squeal. It's so wasteful.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen here and just go through a couple of different things here. So
share the screen.
I'm just going to share my screen overall here.
No.
Here I go.
It's going to be butt cheeks from sea to side.
Go on.
Share it, coward.
No, it's not letting me do it that way. Okay.
So a couple
of charts I'll go through here. This chart shows crude oil versus gasoline prices. It's a 10-year daily chart. Okay. So this goes back to 1990. And as you can see here, so the oil, for those who can see this graph, the oil is in blue and the gas prices at the pump are in orange. So, Mikey, I'm going to let you kind of describe what you are seeing here for the audio listener.
Can you scroll up to the top of the graph? Because I kind of missed so this is, like, I get what you said, but I'm trying to figure out which line is which.
Okay. As I said, the oil
is blue.
Oil is blue. The barrel of oil price is blue.
Okay.
The gas. So I'm gonna scroll through it and just kind of give an idea. So in 1990, you have what?
So for a barrel of oil, it was $73.95, and then the price at the pump was $2.31.
Right. So let's go to
2006.
All right, we're gonna push through about every 5 years. All right.
What are we at? What is
95? This? About 95, 96.
Okay, 95, 75, 88 for a barrel. So you're seeing 225 at the pump.
Yeah, so not too far from what it was though. 5 years before. Okay. So let's go to 01.
Okay, 01. No, you're not even at 2000 yet, homie.
Wait, this is November 1st, 2001 where I'm at.
No, that says 2021.
You got to click down here at the bottom, the gray area.
See down there?
No, hold on a second.
Dutch lied to us, y'all.
I did. Hold on. I had another one graph.
God.
All right.
Damn it.
All right. All years. Here we go. All right. So now we'll do
shit. This is a way more complicated map.
19. All right. So 1990. Go ahead and read it, Mikey. Scratch that last part out, listener. That was my mistake. All right. 1990.
Look, I lied to all of you, and you can't fucking stop me. So shut up. So the price per barrel was $37.87. And at the pump, what year is this? Because
1990.
Scroll down a little bit so I can see the year. So we don't have to. There you go. Okay. 88 fucking cents. All you fucking 80s kids, shut the fuck up. You whiny ass motherfuckers. Y'all ain't never had no fucking high ass gas prices. I was born in this shit.
All right, so let's push ahead.
I remember when it finally went over $1. I was like, what the fuck?
So what you want to pay attention to here though is, and I'm going to go through this again. There's a lot of data to go through here. So what you want to pay attention to here is the oil price, like where the blue line is at with the orange line, right? And they do follow each other. For those who can't see it, they relatively work in symmetry, right? But there's differences. So generally speaking, the gas price at the pump is below the oil barrel price. Now that they're not really reflected because they're on different sides of the graph. But we'll kind of just give you a comparison. So again, in 1990, 33 bucks compared to 88 cents. Okay. So we'll go through to 95. All right, there. I just randomly grabbed a day in 95. August 7th, 1995. Mikey, what do we got?
That was a good day. I remember it well. I was on my way home from seeing The Lion King.
Right.
A full barrel of oil was $17.86, which made it 53 cents a gallon at the Piznump. Now, can we go to? I request a year. I want to go to 2006.
Okay, 2006.
That's when I got my first car.
There's 2006. February 27th to be
exact.
I
mean, I hadn't graduated yet. I mean, you could do. Let me get 2007.
All right, 2007. There you go. June 25th, 2007.
It's already doubled in price. So, the barrel is $70.47 for the whole shebang, but then at the pump, it's $2.14. A dramatic increase.
All right, let's shoot ahead a few years here to 08. Now, remember, in 08, there was a gas shortage. So what do we have in 08 here?
So the barrel is 144, which is almost 145, almost double what it was in my graduatory year. And it's 342.
Okay, so you will see.
This is when I'm moving out on my own.
By the way, remember that price. $1.44 in 2008. I'm sorry, $144 in 2008.
Yeah.
For a barrel, gas is $3.42 a gallon. Just put a pin in that. All right, let's shoot ahead to
$3.92.
Let's shoot ahead to the middle of the Obama term. All right, so let's go.
Thanks, Obama.
Let's go to about 2013, the holidays. What are we at here?
So it's at $97.48 a barrel, but only $2.49. It's very there's a big gap between the barrel price and then what the gas price has been while running simultaneously.
Right. So let's shoot ahead to let's say right when Trump took office. This is a couple days before he took office.
$1.55 at the pump and $52.33 for a barrel.
Right. Let's shoot ahead to middle of the Trump term here before COVID, December 3rd, 2018.
$52.76 for the barrel, $1.46 at the pump.
Right.
And that's 2018.
Right. So we'll go to the pandemic now. This is during the pandemic.
Oh, shit. This is right. Because January, February, March, April. So this is 2 months into the pandemic when everyone's fully locked down.
Right.
And you moved it.
And it's and they're going to give you this is the low. So this one specifically says this gas price is from it's 59 cents a gallon. Now this was from like Louisiana, Mississippi, so lower than like what you would see in California and stuff like that, right? But 59 cents a gallon at $28.34 a barrel. It's like,
just imagine if we just kept that gas.
It's like one of the all-time lows. Now, let's move forward to when Biden took office, about right after the insurrection.
Yeah, thanks, Obama.
So we'll go here, February 15th, 2021. It starts to come up a little. What are we at?
$1.73 at the pump. I'm not going to bother with the barrel.
It's $60. All right. Then we'll go to late last year.
$2.12
and $70 a barrel. And now we'll come to today. This is most
I can't see. Can you scroll up, please? Because the fucking shit is through the roof.
Most recent data they have.
403.
And notice that the gas price is above the barrel price.
Mm-hmm. Right. That is an important fact to. So let's see how high we can get this. So it goes a little bit higher. The barrel price goes a little bit higher than what I can get to. But so here's what we got to look at. Oil, $115.07 a barrel. The gas price, $4.03. Now, right after this in June, it went to about $4.35, but this chart doesn't quite get there. It shows it in the line, but you guys can see it if you're looking at the video, right? You can see it goes up above 5. I just can't seem to click on that. But anyway, so we'll go as far as we can, $110 a barrel, 403. If we go back to this one, $113 a barrel, more, right? $144 a barrel, way more than it is now. $3.42. So explain to me why.
Real quick from the chat, Hellbound Hillbilly, what up, man? In August 95, I was filling up my Celica while I was way too high to be driving. I'm glad that you've gotten better about your responsibilities as an adult. But yeah, I couldn't imagine filling up a gas tank in 95. I what break a 20 for that? Fucking
Yeah,
privileged,
I had a Honda
privileged
I had a Honda
assholes.
Civic, and I was filling up for like 79 cents a gallon or something like that.
Oh my god, that's so offensive.
I would spend $10 to drive down to Eastern and kick it with my homies.
$10.
Yeah.
All right, another quick graph for you guys. This is the U.S. domestic demand for gasoline 1990 to 2020. Just briefly on this one, you can see, again, this has to do with what we talked about at the end of the dig with the production of oil and how it goes up. In 1990, we were producing, this is in billions of gallons, okay? So 113 billion gallons of oil, or crude gas, I should say, in 1990.
Millions.
Billions, B. Yeah. It goes up to 141.
Do 10 years. Do 10 years. Do 10 years.
10 years? Okay, so it'd be right here. 100. So we jumped from 113 to 133 in the years between 90 and 2000. And then we'll go 10 years again. Actually, will remain pretty stagnant, 137 B and 2010. And then we hit a little bit of a dip in 2013, but after that, thanks Obama, it goes up.
Thanks Obama.
And hits an all-time high in 2019 at 146.29 billion before falling down in 2020.
That's when Obama was president.
No, that was Trump, 2019.
No.
Oh, that's right. Obama
Fake news.
Stayed in office. That's right. He never gave up his office.
He fake election. Duh.
And then you see a big drop here for 2020 down to 127. Though to put it in context, it's about the same number as 01. So not like it dropped back down to the 1990 levels. It just went back to the 2001 levels.
And what is that? And what is this chart again?
This is the domestic demand for gasoline 1990 to 2020 in billions of gallons. All right. One more chart, and then we'll move into a couple of stories, and then we'll wrap this up. And then we'll get because some of these stories are super fucking interesting. Which one is my other graph here? And I really apologize to those of you on audio. This is not a good podcast to listen to on audio, but thanks for suffering through it with us.
Well, here I got another chat. Another comment from chat. Hellbound Hillbilly again. Don't break that 20. Dig 5 and change out from under the seats, and you're good. Yo, you could find some buried treasure because seats back in the day, I'm fairly convinced were engineered to steal the change out of your pocket and give it to the driver of the car.
Oh, yeah. Remember when you used to go to the gas station and be like, man, I only got 93 cents.
Yeah, and you would actually get a liquid substance out of the gas pump for that.
Yeah, you'd actually be able to, now you'd like fill up you couldn't even fill up a 20-ounce cup. Okay, so this article here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 articles that we'll take a quick peek at. I know Haas is itching on his cigar, but we're going to go through this.
He's burning his fingertips off.
Oil prices impressed. Now, this is from Real Economy blog. I'm just going to gloss over this particular article. This is more conservative article, but I want to at least talk about what they're saying. They're making the price, the case that the oil companies are not gouging us. What he does is he shows here a graph where it goes over the breakdown of the price of gasoline in selected periods, and he picked 08, 15, 19, 20, 22, and again in June 22. So the graph here, the way that he characterizes this, and I'm going to read a quick note from what he said is, if I can find it, he basically, I'm not going to search through the article, but what he basically says is this hardly is gouging. But what I did here is I went through the gross profit margin of all of this, and the gross profit margins, and you can do this math yourself. I actually did the math, but my other phone died, so you have to just trust me on this. The gross profit margins on this, and I combined retail with refining just to make it simple. In 08, you were looking at about 22-23% GPM. And for those who don't know what GPM is, you take the total price of something, how much of it is profit, that percentage is GPM, right? So about 22-23% GPM in 08. And then if you look at March of 2015, the GPM actually goes way, like the percentage of what is profit goes way up over the cost of a barrel. So the barrel here is in blue, the profit is in the orange and gray. And as you can see, it just goes up a little bit in 2019, but the profit goes way higher. So the GPMs here consistently move up from about 20 to as high as like 78%. And they've come down now in the last couple of years. They're not quite that high, but they're still in the 44-43% GPM range between refining and retailers. Okay. So I don't know why this guy passed on talking about that. But I at least wanted to bring up the fact that
it didn't fit his narrative.
Yeah, I mean, he's not like over the top crazy conservatives, right? But what he says here, I'll read this one paragraph. He goes, while the price of crude on the global market has been volatile, the markups by wholesalers and retailers have been subsidized by comparison.
Oh, subdued.
Oh, thank you for. Oh, go ahead. You read it.
So, while the price of crude on the global market has been volatile, the markups by wholesalers and retailers have been subdued by comparison.
I do say
wholesale markups increased from 25 cents per gallon to 50 cents a gallon, and retail markups increased from
he always go to the islands. He always go to the islands
over the same 25 years. Hardly the stuff of price gouging.
It's T'Challa and Sebastian.
Yeah, it's Coming to America meets Wakanda. I don't get it. But again,
40 days of fornication.
we're at least giving you their opinion. So in these last couple articles, I have to tell you guys, and again, I understand that this is moving quick, and I'm trying to make this interesting at the same time, but this is kind of mundane stuff. I totally understand that. So I'm going to go to this. These four articles are very fucking interesting. So I'm going to start with the one with the F here.
Can I introduce an exercise for my ADD?
Yes.
I want you to act like this is your article and you're trying to convince me and Haas, and we're going to argue with you.
Great. Let's do that. All right. So this is just a real quick show that the Biden White House has made some effort on the gasoline price gouging.
Who the hell is Long Forby?
Really not part of. This is from Forbes. So this article from Forbes in May of this year. House approves bill to ban gasoline price gouging, but it's unlikely to pass in the Senate.
I wonder why.
Legislation designed to ban oil companies from excessively bumping up gas prices was passed by the House on Thursday, but it faces uncertain fate in the Senate as Americans face record high prices at the pump, and gas tops $4 per gallon in all 50 states.
Yikes.
I'll read the key facts here from Forbes. The bill, tied to the Consumer Fuel Price Gouging Prevention Act, passed by the House in a 217 to 207 vote, with every Republican and 4 Democrats voting nay. Democrat reps Stephanie Murphy from Florida, Lizzie Fletcher from Texas, Kathleen Rice, and Jaron Golden voted no. Those are the Democrats who said no. The legislation would give President Joe Biden the power to make it illegal for gasoline to be sold at, quote, unconsciously excessive prices.
Unconscionably.
And would let the federal. I'm just gonna have Haas read this. But he can't. But see, Haas, if we let you read it, you have to read it in a voice that's not going to make Mikey laugh. Can you do that?
That's
all right.
That is true though, because if you start doing voices,
go ahead, Haas.
The legislation would give President Joe Biden the power to make it illegal for gasoline to be sold at unconscionably excessive prices, and would let the Federal Trade Commission seek penalties if evidence pointed to an unfair uptick in gas prices.
So why are we reading this? Like, how did we get here?
Reps Kim Schreier, Democrat Washington, and Katie Porter, love her,
What
Democrat
up, Katie?
California,
Do we know her?
introduced the bill.
I wish.
To pass in the Senate, the bill would need the backing of 10 Republican senators.
Good
Plus
luck.
every Democratic senator.
So for those who don't know why that is the case, this bill was obviously sponsored by 2 Democrats. It was not a bipartisan bill, so therefore you need 60 votes in the Senate for it to pass instead of a simple majority. So, of course, no Republican would sign on to that. So, real quick, next article here. This is from the Dallas the Dallas Cowboys website. The Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas just briefly says, don't look to oil companies to lower high retail gasoline prices. I'm just going to read the first part here. Or actually, we'll let Haas read it here. Go ahead, Haas.
Which part? The first paragraph there?
The part that's in blue there. There you go.
The rise of U.S. retail gasoline prices in March 2022 has triggered a debate about whether U.S. oil companies are doing enough to rein in high gasoline prices and whether these companies should be held accountable for not increasing the production of crude oil. Back to you, Dutch.
Back to me. So that's sort of the antithesis to the other article. So now these last 3 are super fucking astonishing. So these I'm going to concentrate on a little bit more. This article here is from RV Life. It was the most comprehensive fucking article I've ever fucking read on this.
You know why? Because fucking RVs guzzle a lot of fucking gas.
They do, but also consider what are the demographics of most RV drivers?
White, Birkenstock wearing men.
No, it's young,
older people
young black lesbians.
Towing their Outback behind the RV.
Right. It is overwhelmingly MAGA. Now, I'm going to go through this article a little bit more than the rest of them. Will there be major fuel shortages this summer? Okay, so
yes.
The answer to that in short is really no. But let's kind of go through some of the points of this article because I thought it was amazing. And these are the people who need to read this stuff.
Yeah.
Are there fuel shortages in the U.S.?
Bitches.
By now, RV owners are well aware of the massive spikes in fuel costs over the past 6 months.
Whether we have a friend who has an RV.
I want to buy one, but they're expensive.
Not, I mean, he doesn't really live in it. He just kind of makes grilled cheeses in it.
Oh,
that RV took a shit on him.
He's not our friend anymore. He's a soy boy, Tim.
He's still my friend. I love you, Tim.
Whether your rig runs on diesel or gas, prices at the pump have been shocking to say the least. According to AAA prices on May 22nd, the national average price for gasoline was $4.59 a gallon and diesel $5.56. 1 year ago it was $3.04 and $3.18. RVers should fasten their seatbelts. So they talk about why. There were fuel shortages, but they were in Washington State. According to the New York Post, gas stations in Kennewack, Pasco, and West Richland ran out of gasoline in May 2022. Auburn's 76 gas stations, not 76 the number, but 76 the brand, are programming their signboards and pumps for double-digit pricings.
God damn.
However, a representative of 76 said this does not necessarily mean gas prices will go over $10 a gallon. And that would be truly shocking. So, Haas, if you would, I would like you to read this section on why gas prices are so high.
Why
liberals
prices so
yes,
high?
It's Joe Biden's fault.
In 2020, the world was hit by a global pandemic.
No.
In the U.S.,
birds.
meant people who traveled for work, vacation, or health reasons
Yeah.
traveled a lot less.
What?
The reduction in travel reduced the demand for refined crude oil products like gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel.
Keep going.
I use my jet a lot. Thank you.
Fewer U.S. refineries. In an effort to cut costs and avoid flooding the market with excessive amounts of petroleum products, U.S. manufacturers closed down their least profitable refineries, thereby reducing the supply and stabilizing fuel prices. Then in 2021, things started opening up again. People began traveling again as they went back to work or finally got to return to vacation destinations. The demand for gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel was starting to outstrip the supply, but it was still doable, and prices weren't too crazy yet.
Not yet.
Go ahead.
In May 2021, Russian hackers, goddamn fucking words, wreaked havoc on the Colonial with Colonial Pipeline, the main supplier of gas and diesel from Texas to the southeastern U.S.
Fuck them.
The hackers caused Colonial Pipeline to shut down for just 5 days before the pipeline was back up and running, aka they paid the ransom.
Right.
Yep.
They were able to mitigate the situation by trucking both diesel and gasoline.
Didn't we have Homeboy on who told us all about that? The cybersecurity episode?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right.
To gas stations in the affected regions. But terrified consumers put a run on the gas stations, panic buying and all the gas and diesel they could get their hands on, putting it in garbage bags. This began the destabilization of fuel prices in the U.S.
Read that last sentence again.
This began the destabilization of fuel prices in the U.S.
Nobody focuses on this enough. Anyway, continue.
Ruskies invaded Ukraine. Now, let's fast forward to February 26, 2022, when Russia invaded Ukraine. NATO countries and others stopped buying Russian diesel and gasoline as part of sanctions on Russia for its unprovoked attack on Ukraine. The U.S. began selling more gas and diesel to European countries that previously bought gas and diesel from Russia. This reduced U.S. fuel inventories while increasing demand for U.S. gas and oil exports to possibly exceed pre-pandemic levels. When there is a reduction of supply or an increase in demand, prices naturally go up. Economics. But now we have a reduction of the supply of refined oil products and an increase in demand for them. This is what is driving prices through the roof. Supply and demand. Usually when prices go up substantially, demand naturally decreases and then prices go down again. However, with ongoing concern about the looming climate crisis and record profits being earned by petroleum companies, we may not see significant downward trends in fuel prices. The good news is that even though there are occasional fuel shortages in areas of the U.S., we are not running out of fuel. According to Wikipedia, that hack rag, the U.S. currently has 714 million barrels of oil in its strategic petroleum reserve.
Right. So I want you to do me one last favor. Reread.
Take off my shirt.
Reread this. Reread this paragraph because they've brought up the pipeline hack. They've brought up the supply and demand. They've brought up the closing refineries, and they brought up the war in Ukraine. All of that is definitely true. But this, again, is a conservative. This is a magazine positioned towards conservatives, right? So read this one more time.
Daily Cuck.
The Daily Cuckold.
All right. Usually, when prices go up substantially, demand naturally decreases and then prices go down again. However, with ongoing concern about the looming climate crisis, I'm going to say that again. With ongoing concern about the looming climate crisis, that's interesting, and record profits being earned by petroleum companies, we might not see significant downward trends in fuel prices.
Right. And then they talk about, again, there's no shortage. So what I loved there is they actually brought up things that are true. Okay. So like they're talking about
this dude filled the back of his fucking pickup truck with gas.
Yeah. All right. So last, I was going to do two more here, but I think
must be Florida.
I'm going to skip this
Wait
this
for
one
it.
right
Wait
here.
for it, Dutch. Wait for it. Wait for it.
Wait for
there it goes.
Just the dumbest shit ever.
All right, let me share this one last article here because I think I'm going to skip the last one. Because I had meant to talk about that one earlier and I didn't. So they talked about the oil refineries closing, right? So
yes.
This article is from the Anchorage Daily News. Again, Alaska,
Sarah Palinville,
Republican state. They elected Sarah Palin. Holy shit, we're getting honest local reporting. Now, I'm sure everyone who is subscribing to RV News and Anchorage Daily News has canceled their subscriptions to get OANN newspapers. But
that's what we did.
Oil refineries are making a windfall. Why do they keep closing? This is another interesting article, and they're talking about what's going on in Philadelphia here is one of the first examples. As the energy crunch drives record profits at American oil refineries, the owners of what had been the largest such facility in the Northeast have no regrets about tearing the place down. Hillco Redevelopment, they talk about them ripping the place down. We don't care about that part. The firm is spending hundreds of millions of dollars to convert the 1,300-acre site along the, what the fuck word is that? Schuylkill River? Schuyilkil. Someone from Philadelphia is going to get mad at me. And turning it into
eating cheesesteaks. They can't hear you.
Yes, they're watching the Eagles.
They got cheese whiz in their ears.
But along this river, they're turning this former refinery into a green high-tech campus for e-commerce and life science companies. The guy says, I don't know how to operate a refinery. You know, I bought this in bankruptcy in 2020. So the refineries went out of business, 5 of them, during the Trump administration, despite the fact that many of them were bailed, right? They gave a lot of money to Wall Street, billions of dollars to Wall Street. People forget we had a recession, a mini recession early in the pandemic, right? I know we remember that, people who listen to this show, but we bailed out Wall Street to epic levels, right? So oil refineries across the country. I'm not saying all that money went to oil refineries, but absolutely it was distributed. These are all publicly owned companies. So oil refineries across the country are being retired and converted to other uses as owners balk at making costly upgrades. So in other words, the owners of these companies don't want to upgrade them to increase their capacity. And Americans are pivoting away from fossil fuels, and this leaves the future uncertain. The downsizing comes despite painfully high gasoline prices as demand globally, not in the US, globally, ramps up amid sanctions on gasoline and diesel produced in Russia. So again, they're reaffirming what the last article said about Russia. Russia was the third biggest petroleum refiner in the world behind the US and China. Now, refiner, not producer of crude, okay? So 5 refineries have shut down in the U.S. in the past 2 years, reducing our capacity by about 5% and eliminating 1 million barrels of fuel per day from the market, leaving the remaining facilities straining to meet demand. So we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Similac goes down, people go buy elsewhere, then they run out because those guys can't produce enough Similac, right? So even at this lucrative moment for what's left of the refining industry, a White House desperate to bring down gas prices is having little success persuading owners to expand operations, and more closures are imminent. The futility of the Biden White House, the futility of the White House effort came through in the response to letters President Joe Biden sent this week to the nation's major oil companies, chastising them for squeezing, quote, historically high profit margins, which we've already shown, out of their refineries. Quote, at a time of war, refinery profit margins well above normal being passed directly onto American families are not acceptable, end quote from Biden. He threatened to evoke emergency powers if the companies don't bring prices down, but the companies are unmoved. The profits follow years of heavy losses at many facilities after demand plunged during the pandemic. So I don't know if that counts as years. I think that's the biased reporting there from the Anchorage Daily News. It's 2 years, not years. Years would imply like a lot longer. Technically, they're not lying, but they're framing it wrong. Unpredictable shifts in oil markets had created a challenging business climate before that. Okay, that part is true. Because I live in an oil producing town. There's refineries all up and down California. They lay everybody off, the drillers and the refinery people, when the price goes too low. They just lay them off.
Me and Haas, they used to call us drillers, but that was for a totally separate.
It was exact. That was college days. Even at this moment of windfall refinery earnings, which we've already shown you again, when the profit margin on each barrel of oil processed has jumped $1 or $2 a year ago to as much as 18. I'm sorry. Let me repeat that. When the profit margin on each barrel of oil processed has jumped from $1 or $2 a year ago to as much as $18 today per barrel, investors are hardly jumping at the opportunity to enter the sector. They fear the profits are short-lived. What I'm trying to figure out where this has anything to do with the United States government. The administration's environmental priorities. So this is, again, the spin. We'll talk about this in a second. So we're talking about the Biden administration priorities, as well as rising public and corporate concern about climate change, would make refineries obsolete in the not too distant future. This is an interesting quote here. They talk about how building it is. Let me finish this one last sentence, and then I'm going to be done, and we'll talk about this. Building is a mammoth structure, is messy, expensive undertaking that can take a decade. And this quote is amazing. Haas, I want you to read this quote and then make your comment, because this is where we'll end.
I don't think you're ever going to see a refinery built again in this country. Chevron CEO Michael Worth said in an interview with the Washington Post this month. Oh, if that's not fear mongering, I don't know what is.
It's been 50 years since we built a new one in a country where the policy environment is trying to reduce demand for these products. You are not going to find companies that put billions and billions of dollars into this. So
there's so many other products that require petroleum and crude that don't involve cars and trucks and things like that. So I think that they're fear mongering and playing on people's lack of education about all the things that petroleum is used for. And there's actually I would and I'm pretty sure I'm right on this. I would say that gas and diesel for cars is not the majority use of these companies' petroleum. I would say that many other things that utilize petroleum, like certain plastics and things like that, would actually in aggregate make up more of a percentage of their revenue.
Yeah. And just real quick, there was a comment, and I know that Flow State says centralized fuel price fixing authority, what could go wrong?
What's going wrong right now?
I get what you're saying, but I get where you're going with that. But here's the thing: if you missed the beginning, that centralized process is the most profitable company in the world. In the world,
ever.
Saudi Aramco, by far the most profitable company in the world. So like it kind of flies in the face, right? So, but you are right though, Flo, when you say that refineries are a bad investment strategy. And I get that people say, oh, well, it's Democrats don't want green, we don't want fuel. But like, that is a mainstream thing. It is, most people realize that we cannot be dependent on coal and fossil fuel and natural gas forever. There are better ways to do things. And when you are relying on a commodity that can shift in price from $30 a barrel to $140 a barrel, and that affects how much it costs you to fill up your tank, whether it costs you $30 or $120. Why would you want to continue along the use of that finite resource when there are clearly better things that we could do? No one is saying do it tomorrow.
I'm saying that.
I wish we could do it tomorrow, but and the United States, by the way, is one person in this game. The Paris Climate Accord was not just the United States. So it's every country is going through this in the same way. The world is waking up and realizing that we cannot continue to let a cartel run us in OPEC, another cartel run us in the obvious fixes that take place between the 5 biggest oil companies, and a refinery and drilling process that hires kids out of high school, pays them a really good wage, and then when they don't need them anymore, they lay them off.
If they're disposable
every 3 to 5 years. They're like, oh, well, we paid them so well. Well, you paid them well because they were working 93 hours a week. But do you realize that when you work in the oil fields, you literally, let me tell you how that works. Because my brother-in-law, it just so happens, is a company man. He used to be a driller. He works 2 weeks on, then gets 2 weeks off. And he works 18 to 20 hours a day during the days that he works. So they make very good money during the time that they're working. But if your shift comes during your son's birthday or Christmas or whatever, you just are not there. You're gone. Right? And then, and that's fine. Like if you want to do that, that's cool. I'm not knocking people who do that. But then the company decides, for example, he was a company man making $130,000, $140,000 a year. He did it for 9 months. And then the price of fuel went down. Guess what happened to his job? Now he's making $0 a month. And he doesn't get unemployment because technically he was a small business owner. He had the LLC. He was an independent contractor. So he doesn't qualify for COBRA. He doesn't qualify for the company. He would get unemployment, but the company would have nothing. I would characterize that wrong. He would get unemployment, but the company has no skin in the game on it. Right? Like they're not taking that hit for these guys. And like I see this is so cyclical that you see this in Bakersfield every single 5 years. You see a guy who's 20, 22 years old, maybe been in and out of prison. It's great that he can get a job, but they work the shit out of him. He buys his wife a 3-carat diamond ring. He has no idea how to budget money. He has a snowmobile and he lives in the desert, and then
always judging.
And then I'm saying that anecdote because I've literally seen people down the street who have snowmobiles. Like they use them. It's like when I buy a treadmill, like it just sits there. Okay.
The treadmill doubles as a rack to hang your clothes. It's a rack to hang your clothes. And the snowmobile doubles as a sandmobile. It works on both.
Yeah, you turn it upside down, you can sand your wood. But the point is, they do not care. The oil companies don't care about their employees. If you're gonna get into a job and like, maybe I would feel a little bit better if the companies were like, hey, look, this is how this goes. You're gonna get laid off every 3 or 4 years, for about a year. So you should probably save some money. They don't do any of that, and it's just kind of it's kind of shitty. Like, oh, by the way, today's your last day. Apply in a year or two when the price of oil comes back up. It's just a shitty way to do stuff. And I mean, yeah, they're making $20 an hour, and yeah, they're making $40 an hour on overtime, but you're working your ass off. Like, this is not an easy job. And it's fine. And it's fine to do hard work, but like, these guys are like, you are exhausted. That's why when you get home.
Well, this country is built on disposable people. It's built on the use of someone else's labor that I don't have to be concerned about their livelihood after they're done completing the task. That's what we're built on, and that's what we're still doing today.
Yeah, and Flow State says again, the Roughnecks know that though. He's right, but when a lot of the Roughnecks are 20-year-old kids, and they don't know that. Like there are some that do.
They're not handling their money like they know that.
That's the other thing. These same guys, and again, I live in Bakersfield. There are 6 of them on my street. All of them are not all of them. 2 of them fly to Texas every 2 weeks to work on their own dime. Because
they got plenty of money. I just got paid.
Right now they're making fine money, but they also know that they're gonna this is not their first rodeo. They're like they are the guy down the street just had to sell his truck because he couldn't afford it anymore because his wife had like an Escalade or or a Navigator or one of those things. And
one of those rapper cars.
Yeah, like a $90,000 car.
Mm-hmm.
This was last summer, and he had to sell it and buy her a Civic and then he's like, well, he literally said this to me, and it's a good guy, plays on my softball team, right? Like, I know the guy, he's a good dude. And he's like, well, when things come back up, I'll just buy her a new Navigator. But in the meantime, he took a $30,000 hit on this,
right?
Because they
couldn't be me.
They get used to this lavish lifestyle, but they can't maintain it, and it's just it's heartbreaking. You see, in 2020 especially, but also even back when it fell in 2018, or I'm sorry, 2016 when it fell. When the price went low, and they stopped drilling. Right. Which meant, by the way, the economy was good. But they stopped drilling. They lay these guys off. There were families who 3 weeks before had been working and making good money, who were standing outside of the Walmart with a $300 stroller, wife with a 4-carat ring, and asking for money because they had no house.
That's when they'll talk about personal responsibility. But the thing is this: if just like with professional athletes, you give these 18, 19, 20-year-old kids all this money, but precious little. Like you don't tell the 22-year-old running back, hey man, the average career of a football player is 3 years. So, and if you get hurt and you get bought, your contract gets bought out, it's a 60% payout. You don't get anything that wasn't guaranteed. You don't get that. So, there's the financial piece is either missing or lacking in professional sports and in the oil industry.
Especially when they're go ahead. Sorry.
Where you have to educate these. Hey, this is a very cyclical business. We do rolling layoffs. Here's a good strategy for saving your money for the lean times, because the 3 to 5 years that you're working before you get laid off, you want to have save reserves for at least 2 years for the industry to come back and you get hired back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But so much like the pro athlete, though, they don't do that's
what I'm saying.
I get it. They're irresponsible kids. I get it. And like the company, it's not the company's fault that people are irresponsible. I get that.
No, but the company could take measures to at least educate these kids.
And the NBA and NFL have done that.
They should do contracts.
They do contracts with some people, I believe. I'm not 100% versed on that, but I do believe some of the people do have some sort of contract in place, like the 20, 30, 10-year tenured guys. But most of these places are not union. Most of these places are not union, right? So the couple that are union have that. But remember, most of these refineries in Texas, it's a right to work state, right?
That's right. So my freedom.
So they and just to touch on a couple of the points here. Roughnecks are treated better than workers in lithium mines. That's a straw man. Okay, we know that there's problems with lithium. No one is pretending that lithium is the future.
Facts.
Okay, I'm super critical of what's going on with lithium, and I know all the issues of getting lithium out of the it's super fucking bad.
I have an alternative to that, but I need, unfortunately, what's his face? What's the bad guy from Superman? I need Lex Luthor's help to get it done, though.
Just taking Australia?
No, there's rare earth mineral asteroids floating around, and I know somebody's got a rocket company. We could solve all of our lithium problems.
That is what they're going to do.
Why not go nuclear?
No, it's not.
No, you don't want to do that. You definitely don't want to do that.
Especially not with cars.
There's a big discussion right now on what's the best. Like solar has its issue. All of these things have the one that I like is hydrogen.
That's what I was going to say. Why don't we just go back and dig out? Why don't we go back and dig out all of those patents for vehicles that run on hydrogen and other things?
Those things are not real.
Companies.
No, yes, they are. All the buses in California are hydrogen powered. All of them.
How fast do those buses go?
It doesn't matter. They drive fast enough.
And how big are they?
Those are they're a bus.
And how protected is that hydrogen cell? You can't give people hydrogen cars; they'll blow themselves up.
Okay,
we remember Fieros, right? That was gasoline.
I understand.
Don't want compressed hydrogen and hydrazine being made inside of an engine block that it's powering people.
They are working on ways to stabilize that right now.
They can't stop texting, right? Like we have idiot American problems because they have them over in Europe and they don't have these issues. I'm not giving Americans hydrogen fueled cars. They already can't drive.
Mm-hmm.
So why would you fill everybody with like fucking 75 M80s and their fucking front bumper?
You can't do that today, but there is ways to stabilize those molecules, right? Like they're not technically molecules. Hydrogen is an atom.
Yes.
But you can there are ways to be able to stabilize it, whether you marry it with, a carbon atom or whatever, or an inert helium atom or something like that.
And they're
working on stuff like that.
And that's hydrazine, which is what the rockets use. And you know what happens when rockets fail. We saw Columbia. Mm-hmm. Hydrazine is not safe.
Well, hydrazine is what is the atom attached to that? Is it two carbon atoms?
For hydrogen?
Hydrazine. It's one.
I can't remember.
It's one or two hydrogen atoms with one carbon atom, or two. But there are other ways to stabilize this. And what I'm saying is, you can look at it and you can research it, and in about 8 to 10 years, you can have that ready to go, and then you can start transitioning. Nobody is pretending that we should stop with oil today.
It's nitrogen.
It's nitrogen,
and nitrogen is inert,
right?
Typically. Until you have it already in reaction and then the problem happens. That's why, I get everyone wants this to be the thing, and I get how it could help us. We have to find a new way to get batteries that isn't putting little kids in mines, and space, literal meteors filled with lithium. We need to do it. Because we're never going to get to a stage 1, stage 2 society by just digging in the ground.
Lithium also is not going to get us to Mars.
No.
Right? So lithium has its limitations as well. And by the way, neither is coal or natural gas or gasoline. You're not going to get to Mars with gasoline. You have a better chance of getting to Mars with lithium than you do with gasoline. But we have so many issues with the extraction of lithium,
right?
That it offsets. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're right. The process of extracting lithium, it offsets any good that the cars that are run off those batteries,
right?
Give, because the machines.
Though they have gotten far better in the last 5 years.
But it's still
not good. It was back 6-7 years ago. It was worse.
Mm-hmm. And it's still bad now.
And they're they're doing it. They're doing, one of my customers is a company that makes mining equipment that is 100% electric. And they have what they call I don't know what the process is because they have NDAs in place and they're not going to tell me what their process is. Right. So I'm not pretending to know the process, but like these tools, they're literally tools, but they're like mining trucks, and the batteries on them, obviously they're batteries of batteries, right?
Right.
Mhm.
So like they're
arrays of batteries.
Isn't it called a battery? Like a battery is a line of.
We're saying the same thing. I'm just adding another word to.
So like if you look at the like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they're all, and each one of these cases is about this big by about yay, right? For the audio listener, it's probably like 2 inches thick by 1 by 3, something like that. And inside of those is like a bunch of iPhone batteries. So like you're literally.
You ever look inside a 9-volt?
No, I have not.
It's 3 AAAs.
No, it's not Caterpillar. You've never heard of this company. They make about.
You sound crazy to the audio listener because you're responding to this.
Yeah, I'm responding to a question that was it Caterpillar. No, this company, I can't really talk about them because I have an NDA too.
Just switch it. But switch the topic. Like
they make about, let's just say they make about 10 vehicles a year total, right? That's all they make. But they these tools that they call them tools, they're vehicles, are like the wheels are taller than me. It's fucking just crazy shit. And the like 70% of the vehicle is the battery housing. Right. So like, and it can replace its own it's marvelous technology. And they claim to have a sustainable extraction method and their own source. I have no idea if they're lying to me. I have no idea if that's true. I have no idea what that means. All I know is that's their claim.
So I saw a TikTok, and I'm just going to throw this wrench into the works here.
Mm-hmm.
Tesla, electric car, got motors, got batteries, right? We all know that.
That burst into flames sometimes.
Alternator? We all know what an alternator is. Why can't you put an alternator on each tire?
They have that.
It uses the battery.
They have that in construction equipment.
It uses the battery to get going. And then while it's going, no matter how it's going, the alternator is charging the batteries.
Isn't that what's on the isn't that kind of how they do the
You're talking about the braking?
No, I'm talking about the way that they move the pieces around on the International Space Station, like the docking doors and stuff like that. Isn't that what they do with that?
I'm not sure what you're talking about either.
I don't know.
Well, we have the International Space Station, and on that International Space Station, they have moving parts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I believe that, and they use a similar alternator technology in a lot of construction equipment. So I'm not an expert on that. We would have to have a mechanic on to talk about that. But
in construction equipment, it wouldn't really be feasible because the wheel's not rotated enough to give you what you need. Right?
No, not for the wheels.
But I'm saying if you got a regular ass car, if you're cranking a fucking an alternator at 3,000 RPMs for a road trip, you shouldn't run out of electricity if the alternators are charging the battery. Just saying.
I'm not an expert on how alternators work. I just know that they start going and then they keep going.
I don't know if it's an AC/DC thing.
You need an electrical charge to it still, don't you?
Yeah, it runs your engine. It runs the inside of your car.
But you need an electrical charge to start it, is what I'm saying.
Which is what the batteries are for.
Right. And then
as long as it's not dead, it'll turn over.
But doesn't an alternator run off of the something else is causing the alternator to run?
It runs off of the crank.
Yeah.
I think that's the serpentine belt or the alternator belt.
Yep, the alternator belt, which is spun by the crank, spins the alternator. So which recharges your battery as you're driving. Yep.
Right. So
why can't we put that on an electric car?
The bottom line here is that three things. Number one, the history of oil is fucking disgusting, right? Just like with it's not unique. Just like with everything, it's always fucking, exploitation and shit like that. The second thing is that we've got, we've got the fact that companies don't want to invest in it. And you can say, oh, they don't want to invest in it because of Biden, but Biden is not the president of the world. And this is a global phenomenon, not a U.S. phenomenon.
Yes, he is.
And these companies, if they wanted to, they could invest part of that $5 billion that they made in January, February, March to drill another well that cost them like $11 million to drill.
Or they could invest here at patreon.com/digonamerica.
Well, and the third thing is
stop throwing away my dog's toys.
The third thing is it's complex, right? Like there's no, I think we proved there's no, like, we're not trying to sit here and say this is an easy fucking thing to solve, right?
It's
like
a multi-layered solution to a multi-layered problem.
Because we give you facts, not, we're biased. We own our bias, but at the same time, we realize that we are where we are and we do what we do, and we have to, people have to eat, but at the same time, we can't just sit here and just pretend. Like I said earlier,
does everyone have to eat every day?
Nobody cried about the horse-drawn buggies going out of business. So,
and
anyway,
no one complained about what the elevator operators were going to do after the elevators started operating themselves.
Well, what powers the birds? Let's just use that.
Goddamn lithium with the alternator in the wings.
Alternator in the wings and a solar panel on the feathers, obviously.
The eyes are the solar panels.
Yes. Clearly. Any fool could see.
Anybody could see that shit.
So I will say real quick, we got some Ring cameras with the solar panel.
See?
They only need an hour of sun a day to run for 3 days.
Oh, your shit running at 480p.
No, it's
you on the lowest resolution.
These things get HD. You can zoom in. It is these Ring cameras are fucking ridiculous, dude. Like I can literally go on my phone and zoom in and see the name of the brand of car on the tire. It's that fucking good. Yeah. It's crazy shit.
I ain't going over Dutch's house. You know, watch back footage.
It's called the Mikey cam.
No, I'm good.
It's there just to make sure.
I'm gonna stay at my crib.
Here's Mikey showering again.
But I'm just saying,
you fucking threw mud on me. Threw mud on me as soon as I walked in the door.
He's the Nigerian next door.
Shower, Mikey.
Hey, you should probably take a shower. You're covered in dirt.
Oh my god, we got to get you out of
these wet clothes. Last time it was paint.